Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is going to be another in my series of practice sessions for the RHCSA exam. I want to remind you these aren't necessarily designed to be authoritative information, but rather a chance for me to talk about the concepts kind of as a self-test to see if I feel like I'm knowledgeable about the subject. So when I take the RHCSA exam, which is a little over, actually about 2 months away now because I had to be rescheduled because of COVID-19 stuff. When I take the exam, I'll be able to hopefully do well on it. As always, if you enjoy the content of the video or find it useful, make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell when you do so you can be aware of when new content comes available. Feel free to comment as well. If you found the video helpful for you, I'd love to hear it. If you found that I'm made a mistake on something, by all means comment about that as well. It'll help me because I'll get some feedback and clarity on things I need to be learning, and it will probably help other folks that might find if I make a mistake, this other source says something different, and perhaps that'll cause them either to find truth or figure out whatever it is that's going on. So getting into it, this video is going to be about the objective under the Operate Running Systems section of the RHCSA Red Hat Certified System Administrator exam, and the objective is boot, reboot, and shut down a system normally. Well, hopefully this will be a shorter video, but as I know me, I can take a short topic and find a way to have a long conversation about it, but I'll try to be as brief as I can. So right now I have my virtual machine, and first part of that, boot a system normally. Well, turn it on. Right, so physical system, press the power button. This is a virtual machine looking at Virt Manager for KVM, and so I'm just going to press the play to power on the virtual machine. If I had the Virt Manager that was like listing all of the VMs, I could right-click a VM and turn it on that way. So this will do its boot process. It'll take just a moment or so, and then I'll be where I can log in. Oh wait, this is one of the things I love about VMs when you're doing learning stuff and testing. They take much less time to boot than a physical server, and it just makes life easier. So let me log in here. So I'm on my CentOS 8 machine, or I will be in just a moment. Got a little ahead of myself. And from the GUI to restart or power off a system, this is the Gnome Desktop. You can go to the upper right and click what appears to be a power-like button. And from here, if you wanted to just sign out, you click your username. But to actually shut down restart, we will click the power button. And by default, it is going to, if you just sit here, it's going to power off. But you have the option of choosing restart or power off for that. But what you're going to be using more often than not, especially if you're administering servers, is you're going to be using the command line to do that because you'll probably be SSH'd into a system. So we're going to do that now. Let me bring up my terminal. I'm actually going to make a second window, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So I'm going to SSH into another one of my practice servers. I think 93 is the address of it. Yes. This is one of my servers I was using to practice doing AutoFS. And I'm going to go into root so I'm not having to type sudo all the time. And of course I fat fingered the password. Alright, and I'm going to log into that same server but with a different user account in this window here. So the command we're going to be using is that I'll be demonstrating for you is the shutdown command. There are a couple of different ways of doing this, and I'll show a few near the end of the video. But the shutdown command is what I find myself using most often. And I think as far as exam preparation, something to consider is if there are multiple ways of doing something, perhaps what makes the most sense to be as efficient with your time with your exam is learn like the one tool and learn it well and be able to do what some of your other options are available using that one tool. So just a thought there. But if I were to do man shutdown, a couple options I want to bring to your attention is the dash lowercase h, which is equivalent to power off. This is what I use almost all the time. And I believe the difference between halt and power off, as it says, is turn off the machine. Halt brings the machine to a completely stopped state, but I believe it is still powered on. Now, if I'm wrong about that, feel free to put it in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's what that means. I'm not quite sure what the usefulness is of that. I'm sure there's a reason for it, otherwise it wouldn't be a part of the command. But in all of my time, especially coming from the Windows world of administration, if I'm wanting to stop a machine, I want it to power off. I want it to like physically no longer be functioning. So I tend to use the dash lowercase h for that. You can do dash p as well. Dash r is another one that you will use commonly. That is to reboot the machine. And then dash c will be to cancel a shutdown or shutdown or reboot. Either way, it's cancel whatever thing you have scheduled with the shutdown command. So if I were to scroll back up in the man page, it talks about options, time, and wall. Wall refers to the fact that it uses the wall command to alert other users on your system that the shutdown has been scheduled. So showing that in action here, if I were to do shutdown, if I spell it correctly, I actually want to power this off, so dash H, and I want to do it for 5 minutes from now. So I'll do +5, and that in itself is all you need. So if I were to press enter there, and notice that it sent a broadcast message, this is using wall, to all of the other users that would be logged onto the system. I'm logged in as test 1 here. It says the system is going to power off at a particular time, and it's a message from root, because I'm obviously doing this as the root user. I'm going to do shutdown -C to cancel that, and notice over here you get another broadcast message. The system shutdown has been canceled. Now if you want to put a customized message in that, we'll do this again, shutdown -H +5, and this time my custom message, I want to say system, you don't have to do this in quotes, system shutdown is scheduled, spell here, be prepared. And so now we see the system going down, power off at, that's still there, but we see an additional message. The system shutdown is scheduled, be prepared. And what this will do is every minute it will reappear the broadcast message. And so your users that are logged into a system are going to are going to see that. So I'm going to cancel this shutdown. I'm going to schedule another. Let me clear my screen on this side. I'm going to schedule another. So that's plus however many minutes into the future. You can also do this for a specified time. I'm going to use the -R option this time. This is something I do often for my lab server here at home. I'll do my my updates, and I'm running Fedora for the hypervisor, and so there's often going to be kernel updates, and kernel updates usually need to reboot for that. So what I'll do my DNF upgrade -Y and let it do its updates, and then I will schedule a reboot at like 3 in the morning when I'm asleep, and so that way it can shut down or rather reboot, do its thing, be back up. You know, I'm running some services that my home network depends on, running DNS and such in my home lab, and it allows me to easily schedule a shutdown without having to like create a scheduled task with cron or use the AT command for that. I just do it within shutdown. So The way we would do that will be shutdown -R, because I want to reboot for this one. And I'm going to say 3 a.m., which this has to be in the 24-hour format. Now, 3 a.m. has come and gone for this day, so it's going to take that and say 3 a.m. for the next day. If I were to do 23:59, that would still be for the current day, right? So let's do 0300, and my custom message reboot happening at 3 a.m. Now the broadcast message is going to have the time that it's going to occur anyway, but you know, sometimes it doesn't hurt to give an additional little message there. And I'm sure those of you watching the video are like, hey, he misspelled shutdown. When's he going to realize it until he presses enter? So got a little laugh there for you. All right, and it has been reboot happening at 3 a.m. Now, I expected that to appear over here. And I wonder if the reason is a timing thing, like if there's if it happens within a certain amount of time. I want to think maybe 5 minutes. Obviously, I haven't been awake at 3 a.m. to see, you know, what occurs with that shutdown. So let's test that little theory real quick. All right, so we got the broadcast message that the system shut down, even though it's not actually a shutdown, it's a reboot, has been canceled. But the command, of course, we're using is shutdown. So just to test this here, it's 15:15 now, so we'll do 15:16, and reboot happening soon. Okay, so that got the message there. So it's probably, it's probably going to be a time thing. Let's do one more experiment here. Oh, that's one other thing. Of course, as I said, hey, this will be a short video. I generally lie about that because I'll find something to talk about. Something that I've found in my own studies for RHCSA is doing little experiments like this. Honestly, I sometimes learn more than the explicit practice of the concept. Such, all right, practice shutting down. Great, shutdown -H, and you're done. But I find doing little experiments like this, I sometimes tend to learn more because it's like an internal curiosity that's being satisfied, and you tend to retain a little bit more when you have that. And of course, I'm interested in the whole thing, but that little extra interest helps you retain stuff more. So let's do -R. We'll do 10 minutes. All right. So I keep doing Control-C for that. So that did it. Let's do an hour. Okay, so somewhere between 10 minutes and an hour, it will or will not show the message. I do know that, let's say if I did it for 5 minutes, it'll show the message, and then every minute after that it'll show it. So I imagine probably maybe 15 minutes is when it would start doing the broadcast message. But if it's canceled, such as yeah, I got that canceled there. Did it show the canceled? Huh. Odd. Perhaps I fat-fingered something. Anyway, you've seen the typical behavior. Perhaps I've found an outlier. One other thing you can do, if you don't pass any parameters, if I were to just do shutdown -H with no parameters, the default is 1 minute from the time that you run that command, the action will happen, either power off or reboot or whatever you choose. Another thing you can do is, and I'm going to just do, you can also say now, and that will immediately invoke the shutdown. So let me power back on my server here. It should be coming back up momentarily. when I've practiced with this, something that I noticed is that for a interactive shell versus these are obviously login shells that I had open. For the interactive shell, I did not see the minute countdown for messages. I would imagine that's because it's assuming that, you know, hey, you're interacting with a session, you know that you have put the shutdown. But if someone else were logged in, I would imagine that it's going to do that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was as far as rebooting and shutting down, is you can utilize systemctl for that. So I'll do this with my own VM here. I won't reconnect to that. There are certain targets into which you can isolate, and the reboot target is one of those. So another method of shutting down could be, let's see if I can do this without sudo privileges. I don't think I can, but we'll find out. So systemctl, I'm going to do isolate reboot.target. Right now this is booted into the graphical.target, and then the other VMs, they were booted into the multi-user target. So, yeah, it's going to ask for, and then that will reboot the system. Other than just knowing how to do it, I've rarely ever reboot a system using that. It's probably good to know, because I believe when you use the shutdown command, really behind the scenes, what's happening is you're going into the reboot target. I'm not sure, we can try this real quick once this comes back up, if you can isolate shutdown.target. I don't believe you can. Actually, there's a way to find out. I guess we can do the proper method and then just find out via checking the appropriate thing rather than just, hey, let's see if we can shut down at will. But so we're going to go to user lib systemd system. Of course, it's going to be a lot of things here. Shutdown.target. So let's bi shutdown.target. All right, I don't believe we can do that, because what I'm looking for is a parameter called allow isolate, and I don't see that for shutdown.target. All right, and I believe that will be there for reboot.target. So yeah, allow isolate, yes. So you would not be able to do the systemctl isolate shutdown.target, but you can for the reboot.target. Another way of doing this is the init run levels. I don't have really any experience within it. All of my Linux experience has been in the systemd world. One of the things like run level 6 is the reboot run level. It's the same as reboot.target in the systemd world. So if you were to run init 6, that should reboot. And on this system, I think if it works, then it's, well, let's see, init 6. All right, it works. So likely what it's doing, it's not really using init 6, but it's probably doing the same as the systemctl isolate reboot.target. So let me check the objective here. Boot, reboot, shut down a system normally. Well, I've shown you multiple ways of doing that. What I would probably consider normally would be, if you're in the GUI environment, likely you're going to click the little power button and choose that. Frankly, on my laptop, I tend, even though it's in a GUI environment, I tend to shut down and reboot via the terminal, because I will usually have a terminal window open. And then common command one that I tend to use is shutdown dash whatever. There is a command that shows reboot that you can use as well. There's really kind of no wrong way to do it, as long as the method that you use works, then I would stick with it. So as always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you found it useful for you. If you did, make sure you click like, also subscribe to the channel. Even if you didn't find it useful, I hope you subscribe to the channel anyway. I try to make some good content. I'm always looking for new viewers and such. There will be more coming for RHCSA practice as I make my way down the list, and just want to remind you these aren't necessarily authoritative videos, so don't take what I say as like the gospel truth about RHCSA, but I am trying to give some good information about it. So again, thanks for taking the time to watch, and I will see you the next time.